Having children remains one of the most personal and miraculous experiences in life. Yet many Americans who are having difficulty starting their own family are looking for help. Today we talk with Dr. Mylene Yao, physician, scientist, and now CEO of Univfy. She helped pioneer the use of AI and predictive analytics to transform fertility care. She's joined on set by Dr. Kaylen Silverberg, the medical director of the Texas Fertility Center and co-chair of Americans for IVF. My first grandchild is here today because of IVF, and I'm not alone. From Ballard Studios in the nation's capital, it's 13th and Park.
The hard things that are necessary, we either do it or we'll pay the price down the road.
That often is missing in politics.
We have to solve everything.
It's a nightmare.
You and I can differ, but that doesn't mean you and I cannot be friends.
I have faith in the American people.
Those are the facts.
The Illuminati, right there. Aliens could have invaded and nothing would surprise me at this point.
We went from North Korea to M&M. That's a lot, man.
What's in this tea?
Last week, I had a chance to speak with two advocates for IVF from both a spiritual and personal perspective. Rabbi Moshe Margaretin, chairman of Americans for IVF, president of the Humanitarian Tzedek Association, and a major force behind President Trump's First Step Act, and John Christofouli, a practicing Catholic, banker, and small business advocate who's had several children from IVF. Here are some excerpts from that interview. Why is it IVF has allowed people of different faith traditions to find common ground? And is it possibly creating maybe new opportunities for interfaith collaboration?
I think it's the most beautiful thing to help American people who are struggling to build their own family, to give them an opportunity and access to IVF.
Loving wife, had a home, did everything right, and we couldn't conceive for 5 years. And it was a stress on our marriage.
This technology gave them opportunity to hold a child in their hands. I believe there is nothing more pro-life than IVF, what gives for those people an opportunity to have kids.
Without having children, the blessings I have in my 2 daughters, I couldn't imagine life.
National polls, we did polls state by state, all of them were above 80%. 80% of the American people would love to see more access for American people to build their families.
My grandmother, a very devout Catholic from Sicily, old school. In the beginning, not too supportive, but when she knew, prayed every day that we would be successful. And the day of her wake was the day we found out we were successful from the doctors. That was the first sign that this was a blessing from God.
This is something what God gave us, and we should use it. We did an event, and we had the honor to have Vice President J.D. Vance. He declared over there, we need more babies. I cannot agree more with him.
We could never afford IVF. And with the coverage I had in insurance, we were able to have my 2 daughters are amazing at 16 years old now. We went through a lot. It brought us together, 100%.
So that was from last week. And you're both doctors, so I'm going to refer Mylene and Kaylen so everyone understands.
Great.
Obviously, today, Mylene, it's very difficult to find anything of consequence where common ground suddenly appears. It seems that this is one of those issues that has become a uniter versus a divider. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. I think people from all cultures and faiths have aspired to having families. And even people who don't have family are connected either as an aunt or an uncle or supporting their communities in different ways. So I think now it's really upon us as society, how can we help all these people who want to have a family but need medical care?
Kaylen?
Having a family really is a basic human right. I mean, this is really not something that people should disagree about. And I'm confronted sometimes with people who think that IVF shouldn't be used. And, when you really sit down and engage them in conversation, I think the problem is we've not done a good enough job of educating the public about what it is that we do, what IVF really is. It's not some mysterious black box. I mean, it's a very specific set of principles and procedures that are applied very judiciously. It's like 35 to 40% of patients who I see ever go to IVF. So 65 or so percent of my patients never even make it to IVF, fortunately, because they conceive after surgery or they conceive with lesser aggressive means. But IVF is one of those issues that's totally pro-life. And I don't mean pro-life from a political perspective. I mean, who is more pro-life than a fertility doctor, right? I mean, this is what we do all day, every day.
You think there's a complete lack of information for a lot of people still out there about IVF? It's interesting because, here in Washington, D.C.,
right.
There's a lot of discussion about it, and there's been a lot of unanimity across the aisle, which is an unusual thing in Washington on a major issue, right? It's partly an educational need to get more people information they simply don't have.
So even though there is across the aisle, there's not unanimity. I would disagree with that. I think that there are fringe populations out there that are mainly disjointed, but yet they've coalesced around this issue because for a variety of different, usually personal and not scientific or medical reasons, they oppose IVF. Some of these organizations are very powerful. They've got the ear of a lot of our legislators, and they're spreading what I consider really to be misinformation. And so it's our job to really correct that, provide the facts, provide the data. And that's really what we're trying to do through Americans for IVF.
So, Mylene, let me ask you where we are in IVF. How far have we come over the last decade? Where's technology today versus where it was maybe 5-10 years ago?
So we've made a lot of progress, and I can give you some numbers. The very exciting results that we are getting recently from analyzing the national data set through a collaboration with Dr. Eve Feinberg at Northwestern and the Society for Assisted Reproductive Technology. And what we did was looked at the people who started their first IVF cycle in 2019, who probably, as Kaylen mentioned, had already tried other treatments and didn't work. And then we followed them for 3 years until the end of 2022 to see, did they have a baby in the first try? If not, did they go back to have subsequent IVF cycles? And did they end up having a baby by 2022? And we learned some really amazing things. So, for example, one is for the group of people under 40, over half of them are under 35. This is just something a lot of people don't know about because people tend to think, well, IVF is for the people who are delaying childbirth. But no, these are young couples who just need medical care to have a baby. And the great thing about it is for the under 35 group, for people who have at least one embryo for transfer, the success rate is over 70%. First try. It used to take about 3 to 4 treatments to achieve what people are getting today. And that's what, doctors like Kaylen are doing every day.
Patients who are thinking about IVF face two consequential factors. One is cost, the cost of doing these treatments, which is not insignificant and is beyond the reach for a lot of people. And the other is the possible or probable outcome. So you have cost and what are my odds for success? That's what you see when you have patients come into you, right?
Right. So let me ask you a question. If you blow out your knee, you're playing soccer, you blow out your knee and you need an ACL repair, what do you think the ACL repair costs?
More than what I've got in my wallet right now, I can tell you that much.
It is. The average is about $61,000.
Wow.
Okay, nobody pays $61,000 for an ACL repair. You know why? Because it's covered by insurance. Okay, so people just pay their out-of-pocket, they pay their copay, they pay their deductible, and they get their knee fixed. Right? And nobody focuses on the fact that it's $61,000. When it comes to IVF, everybody's talking about the fact that, oh my God, this is $20,000 to $25,000 for the chance to have a family, the chance to have a baby. But yet people think that this cost is insurmountable. So controlling cost, one thing that Mylene does that's so amazing is to be able to show patients with her software, this is where you are. Okay, we're not going to talk about national averages. We're going to talk about you with your particular situation, where you are. And these are the choices that you have for treatment. And you can pick option A, which is going to maybe be less expensive, but far less successful. You can do that for multiple cycles. This is what your cumulative chance for success will be. You can go with option B. You can go with option C. And it's a way to help patients get through the system to find the most cost-effective treatment for them.
Mylene, Univfy, your company, is into the predictive model that is allowing patients to have more information than ever. But there's a complexity of human biology. Everyone's different. So how do you get to the informed decision about cost and probability of success, knowing that everyone's different? How does that model kind of help the patient get there?
Right. So what we do is we take data from each clinic that has the patient's clinical information like age, BMI, blood test results, ovarian aging indicators, and also reproductive history, the male partner's information like semen analysis. All of these are very important factors that clinicians know can impact success. But exactly how in each couple is a little difficult to figure out off the top of your head.
Yeah.
So we use machine learning, and these are techniques that are tried and true, have been around for over 2 decades, to train a model using all these data, and also a very important step to validate, because anyone can build a model, but is the model correct? Is it accurate? So we do that, and we've published extensively in the past 15 years. So people can now go to see their doctor and be given a Univfy report that tells them their personalized probability of success, like based on your exact situation, your age, your lab test results, your clinical diagnoses. This is the probability that you can expect from doing IVF or other treatments, so you can compare and make a decision.
What Mylene is presenting here, doesn't that give the patients at their fingertips the information they need to make more informed decisions about themselves, as opposed to saying, well, the national average suggests you have this probability of success?
Absolutely. You know, what unfortunately happens is there's a lot of different facilities in the United States where you can go for treatment. We hope that everybody follows, the same guidelines and plays by the same rules, but we know, unfortunately, that doesn't always happen. So you have facilities maybe that have lower success rates. They quote national averages to patients.
Yeah.
You have other facilities that, really proud of their rates, and they quote what their rates are. And what this program really does is it allows people to determine where they are. You may be 39 years old. You may look like you're 29. You may feel like you're 19, but your ovaries are 40. And so you have to get the message across to patients carefully, conscientiously, gently. This is where you are, and this is what your choices are. This is your menu of choices that you have. This is the chance for success. This is what it costs. This is what's covered by your insurance. And then you help guide patients to the right place for them.
So let's talk about the government aspect of all this. We know that fertility rates are declining worldwide. And with a lot of countries around the world that see declining population and are kind of freaking out about it, wouldn't any government, much less the United States government, see this in its enlightened interest, that if they support this, they're actually reinforcing the economic might of this country?
Yes, so fertility decline is definitely happening. And many countries have already made different experiments or different attempts to try to fix that. Some countries actually have governments that fund IVF, which is really amazing, but it's not just about funding IVF. You want to make sure it's high performance, high quality. You want that clinical excellence because you want there to be a baby at the end of having paid for the treatment. And I think this is where in America, we have the best clinics, we have excellent success rates. And from having crunched the data, we figured out that if we act in time, we can maintain the fertility rate for America within 2 years. And this is something that maybe people get discouraged because they don't see a success story. People feel like this might not work, so maybe don't want to invest a lot of time and effort. They question, should we really do this? Should we really spend this money or this effort? But there is a way that we can immediately, within 2 years, maintain the fertility rate and build it back up.
Well, how would increased government participation change the economics for people that are seeking IVF?
First of all, having government behind this is already helping the public awareness.
For people that are using IVF, which is fertilization, the government is going to pay for it, or we're going to get or mandate your insurance company to pay for it, which is going to be great. We're going to do that.
I can't tell you how life-changing that would be for so many families, because it costs a lot of money. A lot of people go into debt just for the hope of being able to start their own family.
Well, it's big. And you know what? We want to produce babies in this country, right? We want to produce babies.
That's huge. That's just number one. Because right now, clinics or companies like ours, we have to pay a lot of Facebook ad or TikTok ads to get the education out to people. And second of all, I think so many people really cannot afford IVF on their own.
Yeah.
And we really need to find a mechanism how we can help people that want to have a family to get to the right treatment sooner rather than later.
So it must be frustrating, Kaylen, when you have a patient come to you who doesn't have a lot of economic resource and knows that there's only so much they can afford, if they can even afford round one.
Right.
That's a difficult conversation, isn't it?
It's a horrible conversation. I mean, these are people who want one thing in life. They want to be parents.
Yeah.
They want a family. It's an integral part of their relationship. Now with the government, we have an incredible opportunity because through the 30 years that I've been doing this, I can tell you, we've never had the support of government. And this administration has come in. I had the opportunity to work with the platform committee for the Republican National Convention, and we got 2 sentences in support of IVF inserted into the Republican platform.
Which was unthinkable 5 years ago.
Especially when the platform used to be 150 or 60 pages,
right.
And the president said he wants it down to 40 or less. And so, everybody's fighting over every word,
sure.
And we were able to get that accomplished.
Mylene, tell me how you got involved in all this. What kind of gets you up in the morning saying to yourself, thank God I'm doing what I'm doing because of the value of what you're bringing to so many?
It's such a great privilege to be working on all these data sets, knowing that through the models, we can help tens of thousands of people, which we already have, make this very challenging decision, especially when they have to pay out of pocket, to give them the highest quality information possible that is personalized about themselves, that is validated for the clinic that they're at. And we know that more people have been using IVF as a result of receiving the information and having babies. So I think there's just really nothing more gratifying than that.
We've had over 26,000 babies at Texas Fertility. We're at the point now where 4 babies a day born in Austin, Texas come from us. And we're really proud of that. I mean, that's something that's incredible. We have an unbelievable team working on this. But to touch back on one of your earlier points, this is something that is really critical for society. I think it was Elon Musk when they asked him, what's the biggest problem facing the world? He said declining population. Yeah. And again, people don't understand. They look at it from their own perspective or maybe from their friend's perspective. They don't look at it from society's perspective. I mean, think about what happens if we have a declining birth rate continuing, okay? You're going to have far fewer people in the workforce, far fewer people generating product, generating services to service an expanding population that's aging. And that's a major societal problem. It's not just a problem of people think that fertility and infertility is a lifestyle choice. It's no lifestyle choice. My patients didn't choose to stand in the infertility line any more than somebody else chose to stand in the heart disease or the lung cancer line. The difference is infertility is curable.
Yeah.
The Big Mercer study showed that 88% of patients who walk in the door and stick with the plan walk out with a baby.
And there's a frustration I think a lot of people feel, as well as maybe social embarrassment. Oh my gosh, we've been trying for so long. Right. What's wrong with us? Right. There's that part of this too.
Fortunately, that's declining because, of all of the efforts that we've all undertaken to improve the level of education, to educate people about infertility in general, to point out that it's not a lifestyle choice, that it's a disease. It's recognized by the World Health Organization. It's recognized by the American Society for Reproductive Medicine. This is a disease, unlike the common cold, heart disease, diabetes, it's curable.
Yeah, and I think to your point, it's really important to put some numbers out there. 7 to 10 million couples have infertility. 1 in 6 couples in reproductive age group.
In the U.S.
Yeah.
In the U.S.
And with the referrals being maybe delayed and not being, as readily available as possible, it goes back to cost as well. Unfortunately, a lot of doctors may think, oh, maybe I shouldn't refer this patient because I don't think she can afford it. And I don't want her to put them in a difficult situation.
There you go.
And you should never determine that for another person.
No.
Let them find out, let them decide if there's a way for them to find the money. But of course, what we should do as a society is really just help them so that shouldn't even be a barrier in the first place.
Well, this has really been not only an enlightening discussion, for me, it's very personal. My daughter successfully went through IVF. 1 round. We now have a 5-month-old grandson, Mac. We lived through that experience with her and her husband. We understand how emotional it can be. And it challenges everything you've got, right? But at the end of the line, to see that baby and know that so many others are doing the same or could do the same is really elevating.
I mean, it's remarkable. It really is. And when you think about it, people have preconceived ideas about IVF until it affects them, until infertility affects them. I can tell you some of the legislators on Capitol Hill currently who would be people you would think would be totally opposed to any type of fertility treatment when they have 2 grandchildren or 2 kids or 8 grandchildren, and they now are the flag bearers, for treatment and access to treatment and, control of cost as well. It's really very, very gratifying.
My eyes were open when we had Senator Ted Cruz on the show, probably the better part of a year ago.
Right.
And he's a big advocate for IVF. Again, going back not so long ago, that would have been the last thing you thought that Senator Cruz and others, who are conservative, would be trying to champion. So one question for the viewers would be helpful. Where do they go for more information for IVF? What's the best place for them to get educated? So as Dr. Oz, also on the show recently, said, the best thing a patient can be is curious. That means informed.
There are some really great resources, the CDC website. However, I would also say there's a lot more that can be done there as well to give much more current, much more personalized information. And the American Society for Reproductive Medicine has a very resourceful website for their patients. And also Resolve, which is the largest patient advocacy group. It covers IVF costs, IVF coverage, the medical side of things, and just even, as a family, how do you deal with it?
Got it. Well, I admire what both of you do and what you're doing. Wish the two of you could get on an airplane, fly all over the country, and really share with people what you do every day, because this is where knowledge is power. And for the country, we want not only a healthy population, but I think we want a growing population.
Yes.
Right.
And of course, when you get down to it, the most important issue of all is family, the opportunity to be a part of the miracle of life. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Adam.